Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. This is a response to a question someone shared about a particular life situation, and I won't go into the too many details, but basically, there's some fear arising, and they asked the closing line of it was, "What can be done? Please, please, guide." Some fear coming up about a specific event they were going to go to. So first of all, I'm very flattered to be asked for guidance, and um, just to be really clear, is I don't really feel qualified to individually guide people in life decisions, but I do feel qualified to point people to Bruno's teachings and help them apply those teachings for themselves. So first and foremost, if fear is there, there's lack of trust. And so the first piece, so basically you're asking for guidance. And the first piece is, if there's fear there, we're not going to get clear guidance. If fear is there, we're listening to and taking in, either in the present moment or in the past, we've taken in untrue thoughts from evil. So what I do with fear is, first of all, I'm learning to recognize it and learning to recognize fear thoughts. And when they arise, depending on my mood, I'll just offer them to Bruno or offer them to God. Like today, it's been more of a, the first half of the day, I was offering them to Bruno, and now it's more like offering them to God. And then asking for a good thought, which is almost exactly what Bruno Groening said. He said, beware of every evil thought. And I'm paraphrasing here, and give it away and ask for a good thought. Let me see what else I'd like to say. So if fear is, and part of it is just learning to diagnose the problem. The problem, fear, indicates that we're not trusting God and we're listening to, in essence, the devil. So the solution is to become aware of those thoughts, hand them over to God and to Bruno, and then start listening to God, asking for good thoughts. And when I have a lot of fear thoughts, I just write them down, and one at a time, I hand them over. And there's a little prayer I do, which says, God, please direct your attention to how you would have me be. Like, let's say, for example, I am afraid that someone isn't going to like me. So here's what I would do. And, I have that, I'm a human being, that those kind of thoughts come to me. So I just hand the thought over to God or Bruno. And I say, please take this thought and direct my attention to how you would have me be. And I just wait and listen. I wait and listen for a true thought. Oh, and the thought that comes is, I'll be okay if they don't like me. I don't need this person. I've got God, and I have lots of other people who like me. So that's really what I did. I became aware of the untrue thought, and then I handed it over, and I asked for a good thought, and I waited and listened. And again, if there's a lot of them, I write out each one of them, and I hand each one over, and then I ask for a true thought or a good thought, and I always get an answer. It's not necessarily a complicated answer, but just really simple. Like, what was the last one I did? It's so funny, it's gone now, and I just did it like 5 minutes ago. I'm concerned about the well-being of a friend of mine. So there are some fear thoughts about this person's future. So I handed it over and I asked for a good thought. And the thought that came to me is, this person's going to be okay. Maybe not so. Well, I'll just share what's coming right here, right now. Like, this person's going to be okay. There might be bumps for a while, and it's not my job to fix them, to heal them, to take care of them. It's my job to do what I can, to do what feels right. So that's how I deal with fear, is I recognize the cause. I I recognize, well, the cause has two parts: taking in negative thoughts and lack of trust in God. And those negative thoughts it's really one and the same thing. Pretty much every negative thought contains within it a lack of trust in God. And then I just do what Bruno said. I give the fear and the thoughts away and I ask for good thoughts. And so that's how I deal with fear. And so I'm going to make this two-part response. So just this first part is on dealing with fear and dealing with untrue thoughts. The beauty of this practice is that, over time, then we become aware of the thoughts as they arise before they start to pile up. When I first started doing this, I would sit down to write and I'd have like 15 fear thoughts because I didn't catch them one at a time. But the more I've done this, the more I'm able to catch them when they come so they don't pile up. So that's part one in response to your question. And part two, we'll talk a little more about guidance. Thanks so much for asking.